Okay, hola, ¿qué tal? Mucho gusto. Mi nombre es Paula Farradas. I am a senior here at St. Mary's. I am an international global studies major with a minor in political science. I graduate this semester.
Yes.
Así que
So
te dejo.
sad.
I don't know, like, what else, like, ¿qué demás debería decir? Like,
you're in MLP with me, the Marianist Leadership
True,
Program.
the Marianist Leadership Program, the best program.
I agree. And question, what has been your favorite course you've taken here?
Oh, okay. I have so many. Oh my gosh. But I think like my top one is una clase que tomé con Dr. Betsy Smith.
Mm-hmm.
First of all,
I love
Queen.
her. I love her.
Second, the name of the class was Model Organization of American States. So we did like a debate over there in Waco. While I did it, my delegation won the overall best delegation. So it's like number one on the top. Win.
Really, you beat them all.
No, I was so proud.
I love that.
But yeah. But
awesome.
When I came back, I got sick. But it was worth it.
Oh, I hate that. After a big event, I usually always get sick too. Like,
okay, yeah.
It's like your body's like, oh, I'm gonna let go. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Okay. So we're gonna talk about the Marianist charism today.
Whoa.
So for those who don't know, we go to St. Mary's University, which is in San Antonio. When I first came to St. Mary's, I was like, ooh, it's a Catholic school, and that's all I cared about. I was like, I don't know anything else that's going on. I didn't even care to read too much into it. I was like, ooh, it's Catholic, and I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna be so Catholic there. Come to find out, there's a religious order that founded the university called the Marianist, or the Society of Mary, which was started in France a long time ago. I don't have time for a history lesson. That might be another episode.
That's on me.
No, but yeah, because it's a lot. It gets intense. But so we have religious brothers here on campus. We have the Sisters of the Society of Mary who live a few streets away from campus, and then we also have lay communities. So people who aren't religious, and Paula, you're part of a lay community, right?
Indeed, I am.
Yes, and I'm starting my lay community journey this semester.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy! Congrats!
Thanks. Yeah, so I'll see how I feel about it, but so far so good. And yeah, so it's like any other religious order. I would say, like, if you're trying to figure out what I'm even talking about, it's like the Dominicans, the Salesians, like that kind of vibe. But there's just something about the Marianists, and I want to talk about it with you because I feel like we've both been very immersed in the Marianist charism since we've been here. So I think my first question is, how did you first get involved with the Marianists? Like, whether that be like just the school in general, and then tell me a little bit about like your first encounters with like maybe Marianist brothers or priests.
Okay, sounds good. That's an interesting question. So like, oh yeah, my bad. Part of my introduction as well. I'm from Trujillo, Peru. I went to actually Marianist High School.
Cool.
The name of the high school is San Jose Obrero Marianistas. Like, and well, Marianistas. What else can I say on that? I mean, yeah. The school was very Catholic. Like, sponsor mass on Sundays, blah blah blah, and then at my school, like, we had a little, como que una casita, where like some of like the brothers lived.
Stop, that's so cute.
It was not as big as the one in Lima, but like, you know what, we had a couple of brothers, you know, real. And I remember, for example, we had el hermano Paul. Like, he was my bestie. Like he was like speaking English, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try. Yes.
Oh, that's so cute.
But yeah, we had El Hermano Paul, we had Father, God, I forgot his name.
Father somebody.
El Padre Douglas. Perdón, El Hermano Douglas, my bad. But yeah, like we had like a couple of them. So I think that was like my first encounter with the Marianists, and like, I don't know, I just see them with like grandpa, so I was like, hi.
Entonces, desde que tú estabas en high school, ¿tú ya estabas pensando de que tal vez me voy a St. Mary's porque es marianista, o cómo estabas viendo tus opciones de universidad?
Ok, so las opciones de universidad las empecé a ver como que desde mi cuarto año de secundaria, so that would be like junior-ish
Mhm.
year. Well, the equivalent of. And I was like originally I was looking for law.
Okay.
So got a little bit of spoiler if my parents hear this, but
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
my bad, Appa. My bad, Amma. But I applied to la Pontificia Universidad Católica del Perú. I applied to over there for law, and I actually got in.
Ooh.
So, but I also like applied to St. Mary's, like after reading like everything, like having the option of like studying abroad. I was like, you know what? Maybe. Why not? Make my family proud mentality, you know? And the day, like my last day of classes, I haven't heard like anything from St. Mary's y todo eso. And I was like, you know what? Para la cena, les voy a decir a mis papás, like, you don't have to worry about like me getting into like college. Like, I already got in, you know? That was like the plan. Pero en la tarde, like after everything, like after my class and everything, like I get the email de que estaba invitada a participar en el Marianist Leadership Program, like blah, blah, blah.
Oh, wow.
And for a second, for me, I was like, I didn't get the scholarship. Like, mi mente estaba como que, no la tuve, no voy a ir, no sé qué, o sea, financial stuff, you know? Pero luego como que I received like a call and everything, like, yeah, you got the scholarship. I'm like,
wow.
Surprise. But yeah, literally, right before even knowing I was into St. Mary's, I already like heard about the Marianist Leadership Program. I'm like,
that's awesome.
That's funny.
They've been calling you. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, that's really cool that you. So yeah, like I didn't know anything about the Marianist. I was like, Universidad Católica, me va a hacer bien, voy a encontrar mi gente. Pero fue una sorpresa hermosa llegar a una comunidad tan vibrante, tan viva.
Sí.
Tan viva. Es lo que a mí de los marianistas como que me llama la atención bastante, porque tú piensas de, o sea, sacerdotes, hermanos, y son muy como que serios, que te imaginas a los que
así como que seriedad,
muy
formalidad.
Serios, sí, que están están rezando horas del día y no se la pasan haciendo nada. O sea, es lo que yo pensaba cuando yo pensaba de sacerdotes, especialmente si me preguntabas de una orden religiosa. Pero llegar a un campus que estaba tan vivo, con tanta alegría, y los hermanos que querían estar contigo, que querían platicar, like, that is my favorite thing, just the Marianist brothers, and like, no matter what they're doing, they'll stop and like talk to you and like ask you about your day, and I was like, oh, like, I don't even know like which brother. I'm like, hey brother, because I don't remember everyone's name. I'm like, your brother's somebody, but I love you so much. Anyways,
you're like, oh hey brother, what's up?
Literally. Okay, I think like my next question would be, in the 4 years that you've been here, what was kind of like the most transformative part of being in the Marianist charism or like the Marianist communities?
Oh Lord,
I know that's really hard because you've been part of. So maybe let's talk a little bit about the different communities you've been a part of, because you're obviously like a part of MLP, but also you went to the LA immersion trip.
Yeah, now known as Lead with Mary.
Lead with Mary now. Anything else that you've been a part of, like Marianist wise? Because I know you have a little more, but I don't necessarily know all of it. The lay communities.
Yeah. Okay, let's go down the list.
Yes.
Oh Lord. Okay, so MLP, then the lay community, so MLC. So
we love acronyms.
We love acronyms indeed. Okay, so MLP, lay community, MLC. Well, I'm part of the Marianist Family Council in Texas.
Okay, wow.
So I represent MLP in that council. Dios mío, ¿qué más?
Yeah, like LA immersion.
LA immersion.
Yes.
But yeah, like that's quite of like the things that like I'm involved in.
Marianist wise.
Marianist.
Yeah, I think so. So maybe let's go down the list. Like, what in MLP, like, ¿cuándo fue el momento que tú dijiste, yo siento ese Marianist charism aquí? Versus like maybe it was just like, oh, like I've had moments in community, but I wouldn't say necessarily like, oh, maybe that's charism. Whereas like I can distinguish like, oh, like this has been like because of Marianist formation I feel this way. So like maybe something like that for you.
Yeah. Yo siento de que I started like feeling the Marianist charism back in my sophomore retreat in MLP. We have semesterly retreats at MLP. So my sophomore retreat, so like fall 22. Yes, fall 22.
That was my freshman
year.
That
was freshman retreat.
It was.
I like during the summer I lost my uncle, so for me like he was kind of like my inspiration of like following my faith, like he saying to me like really like I'm always gonna pray for you, blah blah blah. So like I really felt that. So like I guess like my sophomore tree, like during adoration more specifically, like el olor incienso, like every time I think of my God, like smell incienso, so like really got me. Like I was like stayed outside like crying my eyes out. But yeah, like I remember like then Amy like leaving her guitar, like getting like outside with me, like comfort me, and just like feeling that sense of like I'm not alone in that. Like so faith wise and community wise, like after that like a couple people were like, hey, like you okay, like they didn't even know me, and like I'm barely a softie, like so yeah, the fact like people like who didn't even know me like started worrying about me, I was like, man, so this is how community feels like, so I think like that's when like kind of like everything come up together like in my brain. So I was like ding, 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 like puzzle pieces, así que como que así que eso se siente. Así que siento que en MLP es lo que más me ha ayudado so far en este camino.
I think that's my favorite part. Like the community aspect of the Marianist is so interesting to me. So like the way some brothers have talked to me about it is like everyone's equal, no matter what. Everyone's equal. If you're a priest, if you're a brother, you're not a priest over a brother. And like some religious orders aren't necessarily like that. Entonces, con ese pensamiento, con esa filosofía que se hace todo en las universidades, en las clases, todos somos iguales, todos estamos caminando juntos, y eso me da como que like this comfort of like knowing like, oh, I might be struggling, I might be going through something, but like everybody's walking with me. It's not like someone thinks they're better than me. And like not necessarily like everyone acts like that, but it's just like that's the spirit that's kind of moving through this community. It's like trying to walk together instead of like lead each other like above like this hierarchy. It's like walking hand in hand versus like somebody telling everybody what to do and like what the rules are. And that's what I really love about the Marianist. It's like, sure, there's like, like we have like things we abide by and stuff like that, pero todo eso es para like the common good, like for all of us to like walk together. And I think that's so beautiful about the Marianist.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, no como decir como que yo estoy en una posición mayor que tú deberías tenerme respeto a mí, bla, bla, como que somos amigos, o sea, si es que tengo que decirte lo bueno, lo malo que estás haciendo, lo diré, pero como tu amiga estoy bien tratando de ver lo mejor para ti, así que siento como que esa es la mentalidad más que nada, y eso es lo que más aprecio.
Yes, beautiful. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved in the lay community.
That's a funny story. So, Brother Dan is the one like in charge mostly of the lay communities nowadays. So when he first started, como que yo antes como que estaba mucho en university ministry, like I lived over there, my gosh. Entonces recuerdo como que Brother Dan approaching me and he's like, hey, like, do you want to be part of an MLC? And I was like, what's that?
Like another acronym? No, I'm like, already MLP.
I'm like, I have enough with MLP, my gosh. But yeah, I remember he approached me like twice, like in different semesters, of course. And I was like, you know what, like, I'll think about it. Did not join. Sure. I was like, yeah, sure. Hasta que a la tercera.
A mí me pasó igual, pero ahorita te digo cómo. Me tomó 3 veces para decirlo así.
Sí, como que a la tercera me dijo que, mira, ahorita estoy formando una comunidad, no sé qué, like MLC, and I was like, you know what, después de mucho tiempo, y porque I'm sorry for you, I'm sorry, Ya voy a decir que sí. And then, well, I'm part of this like very amazing community or like community totus tuus, JP2.
Let's go.
So yeah, I think it was so funny.
It was just Brothers Dan. Sometimes it takes a little bit for me to say yes to Brother Dan as well. The same thing kind of happened. He approached me like, I think it was my second semester sophomore year. I was going through formation for Lead with Mary, and I was already so overwhelmed. Like we were having meetings like every other week and readings and videos and all this, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm tired on top of my classes. And I was like, dude, like I don't know, like I'm tired. And Brother Dan's like, we're starting a like community. Do you want to join? I was like, no, Brother Dan, like I'm a little busy this semester. Maybe next semester. And then he approached me last semester, and I was like, no, Brother Dan, I don't think I'm ready yet. And then he was like, I'll get you next semester for sure. Y ya, tocó este semestre que va a empezar mi comunidad. We had one meeting so far, so it's been good. It's been good. But yeah, I just think that is really awesome. Like the reason I took so long and the reason I kind of thought about it really hard was it's a big deal to be part of a commitment like that.
Oh yeah.
To like be committed to a community for life.
Yes.
It's literally like taking vows almost. I mean, like you don't have to like not have a husband ever. Like you're not bound to like the restrictions of like a religious person. But at the same time, it's like you're becoming this greater part of a community that's been around for like 200 years. And that's scary. Like that to me.
Be like, that's me?
That can be terrifying to me. I'm like, yeah, but like what if I suck here? What if I don't live up to the charism? What if I don't live up to the idea of like what being a lay Marianist is? But I think the more I thought about it was like it's not about being perfect. It's not about being an example. It's about being able to like walk with these people for life. And like no matter where I go, I know I have a community, and I know that I'm a part of something like way. I don't want to say like bigger because like we're all part of the Catholic Church as a whole, so like we make part of that body. But at the same time, it's like this little section where we know we can rely on each other, and we know like no matter what happens anywhere, it's like okay, we're gonna be here in this lay community, helping brothers and priests and sisters like do what they have to do and being the support that they need as well too. I think is really cool.
No, I think like especially like being part, for example, of a lay community and everything, like they no es como que te crea amigos, pero sí.
Yeah, basically. It's like giving a Catholic sorority or fraternity.
No, like I think it's so funny because like in my case, we're almost everybody women except Andrew.
There you go.
And then Brother Dan. So like, you know what? Sorority.
We're sisters here.
Sisters
in Christ, and that's the most important. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we talked a little bit about MLP briefly, but I kind of want to ask you a little bit more about your position that you held on the leadership team for, was it 2 years? Yeah, tell me a little bit about
it's
temporalities.
1 year.
1 year.
Far. Yeah, just I started my senior.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, the last one was Emily.
That's right. See, I get confused because everybody
You're
this is again to the point that everyone's an equal, so it's not like everyone on the leadership team will walk up and be like, I'm this person and you should respect me for this. Like that's never been the attitude with the leadership team, and it's like that's why I'm like, oh, like who even was what office, because they don't like brag about it or like talk about it or anything like that. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, so you've been temporalities this senior year.
Yes.
What was the reason that you decided to apply for a leadership position? And what has been the most like fruitful thing you've gained from being in a position of leadership in a program?
Interesting. Okay. So like my first years, like I was part of actually like the education committee, but not like as a student leader, but mostly of like just a member, you know. But then like I was like trying to challenge myself of like trying to get like a leadership position in MLP, and I was like, you know what, family director, I don't really like. It's pretty, yes, but I just don't feel called to it. So I was like, what about the student leadership team, SLT? By any chance,
SLT from now on.
SLT. I was like, you know what? Okay, let's analyze committees. I was looking through like education. I'm sorry, too much work.
That is a lot.
Knowing by you, yes.
Yeah.
And like, I'm also a student worker here at St. Mary, so I was like a mess already with my schedule. A mess.
Schedule's full and busy.
But yeah, like I was like, you know what? What's the I'm sorry, Amy. But like, what is the community that does like the less work?
Or like the more, I think like the way I viewed it was like, how do I want my work to be spaced out? Because with like temporalities, like we have the service project. So tell me a little bit. First, let's talk about a little bit what temporality does.
So temporalities looks more into service. So like, service hours, mentoring mentees here in MLP. Then, I mean, that's
basically it.
Yeah, and then just like the main events, which like, for example, is Continuing the Heritage, CTH, which is We Go Nuts.
Yeah, it's a big event at the beginning of the school year, because they changed it, so we don't do it in the spring anymore. But at the beginning of the school year, we get together as a university and go out into nonprofits in the San Antonio area and do a morning of service on a Saturday. So it's faculty, staff, students. I think this past year was like, I don't even know the number. Do you remember?
Oh, Lord.
Like 400? No,
like
that sounds like a lot.
It was like 3 something.
It reached 300. It was like pretty big since
if
after
you look on
COVID.
the community engagement
Instagram will be coming soon.
At STMU
community engagement. Yes. But big part of that for MLP is we have our members be service leaders at the sites. So they'll kind of coordinate kind of make sure everyone's working, and like we'll do a little reflection after. But a big part of that is temporalities will take care of assigning those members and like making sure that all of the sites are like I really don't know. I'm like making it up. This is what y'all do.
No, I mean, like, you're right. Like, we're like look under like the service sides and be like, okay, who can be placed over here, blah blah blah. And then it was like before, during, and after the event, which we assigned, blah blah blah. Then the day off, or like running like crazy. You saw we're like but then afterwards, just like, okay, has everybody arrived? Do you have the materials for your service side? Like
all
it's
the
like
things.
10 different things.
It's like logistically
we're like
a lot. Yeah. So I think like the way I viewed like discerning what position I wanted to apply for was how much can I handle one weekend of stress versus maybe like a little bit of stress every week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because for education committee, so there's 3 offices within the leadership program. We have the education committee, who takes care of kind of like programming for our like lecture style meetings that we have, and our socials. So we're working basically like year round, planning for that. And then we have the religious life committee, who takes care of anything to do with faith life, and more importantly, the retreat that we have every semester. So they're in charge of basically planning the whole team, like coming up with themes, coming up with activities, asking speakers to kind of share their testimonies and stuff like that. And then temporalities, who takes care of community service, and they're in charge of the big events like Continuing the Heritage, and then our days of service during Lent. So I think like when I was deciding like, what do I even want to apply for, like obviamente I was like, I want to be religious life. Quiero hacer algo con fe y retiros, y se me hacía bien bonito, pero luego me puse a pensar de que todo un fin de semana va a depender de mí y mi pareja, porque es en pares que los miembros de los offices están. Entonces dije, como que it's a lot of pressure. I don't know, like if I can handle it. Pero para mí, cuando yo estaba aplicando para hacer education, dije, okay, I can handle like having spread out stress. I can be stressed all year, but it'll be stress if it's like spread out. It won't be like a weekend of me like crunch time, like let's go. So like, like that's interesting. Like for you, it was like I just want to get it out of the way, and like, you know, like you'll work a little bit throughout the semester making sure people are doing service and stuff like that. But like yeah, like that makes sense if you're busy.
Yeah, porque por ejemplo, cuando yo estaba viendo, okay, como que religious como que no me llama tanto la atención. And then vi education, I was like, estuve 3 años en la education committee. Y luego yo tener que planear todos los meetings, que no sé qué, ver el tema. Yo dije, no, ¿sabes qué? Mucho estrés. Me voy para temporality.
That's awesome. And then from that, what has been the most like fruitful experience or the experience you like remember the most on being on temporality so far?
Gosh, that's a really good question. I mean, just the aspect of like service. O sea, yo desde chiquito, o sea, crecí con la mentalidad de que ayudar al prójimo. Así que I grew up like with a service, doing service, like helping others, blah, blah. So I was like more used to it. Así que el hecho de poder, por ejemplo, estar, no diría como líder, yo digo más como que ayudante, ¿sabes? Como que ayudante de temporalities.
Like the temporalities fairy.
Yeah,
that's what you guys are. You're like little fairies, just making sure everybody gets their service done.
I'm not a fairy. I'm a mosquito. I'm mother. Pero sí, o sea, el hecho de que I can share my service experience to others and well, kind of doing my best to like inspire them to like do more, like ayudar al prójimo and everything. I was like, you know what? I like it.
I love that. Okay, so kind of my next question, we kind of touched on a lot of the questions I was gonna ask.
My bad.
No, that's good. I think my next question was, I want to talk a little bit more about the LA immersion trip. I know you had a little transformative moments there when you were doing service. So kind of explain what the whole project was and the trip, and then just talk about like your favorite parts or like something that kind of just stuck out to you throughout the experience.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so the LA immersion, now known as Lead with Mary.
Lead with Mary.
She also did it.
I also did too.
But well, LA immersion, as the name says, it's in LA. It's in Los Angeles, California. And it was a week and a half, probably ish, around a week. De que íbamos a hacer servicio and like las not so fortunate areas de Los Angeles. Like it was just service all day, service anywhere, like blah blah blah. And then like at night, mostly like reflecting on community of like, okay, like how was your day, like how has this experience like impacted you, blah blah blah, and just kind of like bonding within that community. And honestly, like, okay, so like I was like reflecting like on that question a lot yesterday, and I was like, I don't think like my brain cannot like imagine like another group of people that I was like I would have enjoyed that immersion trip, you know. Es como que tienes a tu gente y ya, lo disfrutaste y no puedes imaginarte a nadie más reemplazando a esas personas que te han impactado tanto, ¿sabes? Por ejemplo, no vas a decir que tú quisieras reemplazar a los hawaianos, o sea, no. Es como que cada uno ha jugado un rol importante para este service trip y es como que no me los puedo imaginar nada más. Pero hay varios momentos los cuales yo los tengo grabado literalmente en mi cabeza, pero siento que para mí el más importante y el que más me ha ayudado a crecer ha sido cuando we went to the Good Shepherd shelter. So it was a shelter for like mothers and families like who are escaping, in that sense, escaping from their partners. So not so very fortunate. And I remember like going over there, we were just gonna do gardening. I was like, you know what, gardening, slay. Like, yo así, modo jardinera, Bob el constructor, me decían. Like, mientras estábamos haciendo la jardinería, then we see all this bunch of kids like coming out.
Oh.
You know,
I know you.
You know me, and if people that like have known me before, no me gustaban los niños. Yo vi un niño, side-eye, ¿sabes? Así que, so like when everybody was like going to like play with the kids, blah, 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 me and adults, I was just gardening. You know, like I was like, no, I'm not gonna go, like, I don't like kids. Then I remember there was this well, of course, like then the rest of the adults like went to play with kids, blah, blah, blah. And I, like, Amy tells me like, oh, hey, can I come for a second? I'm like, sure, why not? And then she tells me like, oh, there's this new kid, like, well, this new family, like they just arrived from Colombia and all that, and they're like, there's this little girl who doesn't like speak English, she just speaks Spanish. And I was like, you know what, okay, like I can try. So I went over there, went with this little girl, and I was like, hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Sabes? My gosh, I can see her eyes. Like, in my memory, I can see her eyes lit up. It was like I knew what she was feeling at the moment. It was like that mentality of like, nadie me puede comprender ahorita, yo no puedo hablar el idioma, pero hay alguien más que lo habla. Me siento a salvo con esa persona, ¿sabes? Como que puedo ser yo misma con esa persona. Like, I saw her eyes, she started speaking Spanish. We both started like speaking Spanish, blah, blah, blah. And like, I remember like we were with the other kids, like we were playing Duck Duck Goose. But of course, like, she didn't know the language, she didn't know the game. Yeah. I didn't know even the game, so I was like, so she was like, goose, goose, you. And like, of course, like we start running. So cute. But yeah, I mean, like, I saw Jesus in that little girl. Like, I've been like in, well, not like been in her position, but like kind of similar of like, I don't have anybody like to play with, like I like kind of like I feel alone moment, but then like having somebody who like approaches me and it's like, okay, let's play together, you know. Like, I saw God in that moment. I was like, this is one of the few moments in my life that I'm able to like experience God like firsthand. And yeah, I mean, like, I play with her like all day. Mi pequeña Elizabeth. But yeah, like at the very end, like I was talking like with her mom and everything, and like it was time to go. So like Father Brendan saw me that time, but I was a kid. I was acting like a kid. I'm like, I don't want to go, but my mommy told me that I need to go. Blah 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 blah. You know. So yeah, I mean, like after we went out of the shelter, blah blah blah, and Father Brendan just me like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, like I need to process this for like a good second. So like, give me a couple of minutes, you know. Like, I was about to start like bawling for that kid, but I was like, you know what, no, like, I need to get my act together. Like, you know, it was, that day was crazy. But yeah, like after that, like my whole experience changed with service, with being a leader, with kids. Like after the LA immersion, el siguiente año yo apliqué para un summer camp en donde trabajamos con niños.
Nunca me lo hubieran imaginado.
Pasé de no querer a los niños a de que, ay, no sé, qué lindos mis hijitos. Like, girl.
Yeah, I think like for me, like how those experiences have shaped me, and I kind of have had similar experiences where like I feel like I'm in a position where like I was on the other end. I feel like those are moments where like maybe like in the past when you were in those positions, like Jesus touched you, and you were like, oh, like that kind of moved you to learn about Jesus, love Jesus, and learn about like what being a child of God is. So then Jesus like walks with you to put you in a position to do that for someone else, to show people his love because he did that with someone else for you. And like I feel like those moments are so special, and I've gotten to have so many of those moments like within the 3 years I've been here. And it's just like time and time again I'm reminded like somebody did this for me, and that was through them, like Jesus
Mhm.
helping me, like walking with me and making sure that I would get to where I need to be. And now that I'm in a
Sí.
position to do something to give back,
yes,
like
it's
it's to help them in the moment immediately, but it's also in hopes that they feel the love of Christ and they
Mhm.
grow closer so they can have moments like we're having like right now. And I think
Yeah.
that's so valuable, and that's what I love about service so much. It's like you never know when you're going to be in a position where you need help.
Uno nunca sabe qué se va a enfrentar.
Mm-hmm.
Y siento que con eso es como que hay que mantener la cabeza alta y hay que decir, ¿sabes qué? Vamos.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Oh, I love hearing about surveys. It's so awesome. Make sure I don't mute my mic.
Como que no lo pagué.
Yeah, literally. Okay. I think what is the biggest lesson you've learned about leadership, kind of shifting from service to leadership, within the program, the MLP, and just within being in the Marianist institution?
Interesting. So I think like what I'm also like learn about like my leadership is like it like of course like it slowly like started to grow and all that stuff. Pero siento como que algo que deberíamos aprender es que no hay que tener miedo. Like, of course, there are moments that you are gonna be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Blah, blah, blah. Like, what I think, like, people think of me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no lo pienses. Simplemente hazlo, live the experience, and then afterwards, like, ask people, be like, hice un buen trabajo, ¿qué pude haber mejorado? ¿Qué pude haber hecho mejor? O sea, todas esas preguntas. And just learn from those experiences and be like, okay, ¿cómo no solamente puedo crecer como líder, pero cómo puedo crecer como persona? So
yeah, I think like for me, it's really been the idea of servant leadership, and like again the philosophy of like we're all equals, so there's no reason for me to kind of lead in this manner of like I know more, so I should be a leader, or rather than here are the gifts that I have, and here's how I can give them to the community right now. So that's been honestly like my favorite part, just knowing that I have something to give and just making sure I just give it my all, and not holding anything back, because I feel like sometimes I start to feel a little selfish and I'm like, oh well, they don't appreciate it, maybe I shouldn't do it, which is hard.
Like,
It's so
happens.
hard.
It happens to the best of us, like no worries.
It's so hard, but at the same time it's like, oh well, I'm not necessarily doing this just for like me, it's for the community, it's for a greater something, and it's for God. Like it doesn't matter what people are thinking of like the way I'm leading or whatever. It's like it's if I'm doing it out of love, I'm doing it for God, then that's all I really can do.
Yeah, and I mean like sometimes like in those leadership experiences, como que hay gente que they're gonna challenge you, like physically, mentally, emotionally, like everything, you know. I guess like those people, I'm like, first, bless your heart. And then second, I was like, you know what? Probablemente esto es como que una prueba, así que voy a dar lo mejor de mí misma para estar calmada, centrada y simplemente move on.
So, that's a really good way to view it. I think what has your faith kind of looked like within the past 4 years? And how has it changed, or I don't know, yeah, just tell me a little bit about that.
Interesting. So, I mean, la gente piensa de que cuando uno va a un colegio católico va a ser como que, ay, religioso, monja. ¿Me ven con cara de monja? No. Like, literally, like, I think, like, during my whole life, I feel like, fluctuando con respecto a mi fe y todo. But I think, like, here, like, I thought I was okay, like, middle ground faith, you know? Here, changed my whole perspective. I learned so much. And, like, now that I apply it to, like, everyday life and everything, I'm like, man, that's crazy. But, like, siento de que acá he crecido muchísimo. No solamente aprendido de mí misma, pero también de otros, cómo yo puedo mejorar en aspectos de mi fe. Like, it was just an amazing journey, to be honest. Like, being part of, like, same here, being part of MOP especially, like that, my faith, whoo, to the roof. But yeah, I mean, crazy in general.
I think the like beautiful thing about St. Mary's is like there's always anywhere in life there's always going to be people at different stages, but again, like we will all walk together. Like there's never a moment where I feel like I'm doing something wrong because my faith isn't strong, but rather I feel so blessed to be around such faithful and like loving people that I know like someone's gonna hold my hand through those hard times and someone's gonna be there and encourage me to get closer to God versus like telling me like, oh, you're doing this wrong, or like, oh, because your faith isn't strong, like you're not worthy of being here, like, oh, you have to believe the all and be all of it. Like, no, esa no es la actitud que toma la gente aquí. Es muy, tienen mucho amor en su corazón, y yo creo que eso es por el Marianist charism. Like it just moves through people and it makes them be more caring, more attentive to the different things that the Marianists focus on, and one of them is community and walking with your community, and I think that's so beautiful. And like inclusivity is also part of that, like being inclusive of people who may not necessarily believe or may not necessarily like know yet, because a part of it for me has been like, oh, there's people who haven't heard the good news, who haven't heard that God like is God, like they no lo han sentido, lo han escuchado a lo mejor, pero es algo diferente escuchar, ir a misa todas las semanas y escuchar y sentir eso, y para mí es de que para mí fue la inspiración de hacer este podcast, porque o sea, para mí tener fe no solamente es ir a misa, no solamente es orar en mi tiempo personal, pero también es compartir esas experiencias, porque, o sea, you don't go up and ask someone like, how was your service trip in LA that you took 2 years ago? Like, people don't come and do that, and it's rare that we get to kind of sit down and talk about these different experiences. So just wanting to share that was really a big reason I even started.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I feel like especially like when it comes to like community aspect, hay veces en la que, por ejemplo, como tú decías, hay veces en las que nosotros estamos en nuestro punto más bajo, en un modo de que, ¿qué me está pasando? Kind of mentality, Pero siento que gracias como que a la comunidad, al charism que todos vivimos acá, en especial, voy a remarcar siempre a MOP, pero en especial a MOP, es como que siempre va a haber alguien en el cual va a estar viendo por ti, va a estar preocupándose, y va a estar como que, ¿estás bien? ¿Necesitas ayuda? ¿Cómo yo puedo ayudarte? Y tratar como que de kind of like take you out of the hole and be like, okay, come on, let's go. Estar juntos de la mano.
Oh my gosh. And I think my last question, well, I have 2 last questions.
Oh my.
If you could describe the Marianist charism in 1 sentence, how would you describe it?
Oh, Lord. Honestly, like, okay, so it doesn't come to a sentence right now, like, in my head. I mean, wait. Okay, so I have a word and I have a sentence.
Okay, give me both.
So, I'll say, like, okay, word, magical. Like, it's just weird. It's a lot to describe, but, like, in just, like, a word, I would say magical. Like, all those different aspects, And then, sentence is, I'm gonna say it in 2 because I grew learning it in Spanish, so I'm like, and I saw it like in my school every single time. Lo esencial es lo interior, and then like here is the essential is interior. Like, just like that spirit that we have like inside us that makes us move to the greater good. So
I love that. And then
my school would be proud of me.
They would. They're like, we ingrained it in your head. We got it in there. That's so funny. But I actually have never heard you say that or anything. So
really?
No.
Lo esencial es lo interior.
It's gonna be in here now. And then what is something you hope that someone listening takes away from the conversation we've had?
Ooh, man, if you take out something, good for you. Proud of you. But I mean, kind of like the 2 takeaways that I think like people should take away from us would be service and supporting, and especially like when people are around you. Like, community helps you move through mountains, like do things that you never expect to do. And then the second, like when it comes to like leadership and everything, don't be scared. It's okay to take those roles. It's okay. It's kind of like it's a learning process. You have your ups, you have your downs, and you're still gonna learn from that. So
well, thank you for
Thank you.
joining me for episode 2 of En Busca del Cielo.
¿Para qué si el cielo lo tengo acá?
Stop it. Don't start. Muchas gracias, Paula. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing a little bit of your faith journey with me and my listeners and viewers.
Yay!
However many, if it's 1, if it's 2, if it's 1 million here soon.